shocking new developments in the case of the accused killer, Luigi Mangione. Tonight, his defense team is taking aim at the New York City Police Department and its chief of detectives. They are demanding proof of a pretty surprising statement made at a press conference after Mangione's arrest, purportedly about a comment that Luigi Mangione's own mother made to police about her own son. New York City's chief of detectives, Joseph Kenney, made the statement at a December 2024 press conference. He said San Francisco police had called Mangione's mother during the manhunt for the killer of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. They were vetting a tip that a photo of the murder suspect resembled Luigi Mangione. Here is what he said.
Part of that vetting process was that they reached out to Mangione's mother in San Francisco very late on the 7th. They had a conversation where she didn't indicate that it was her son in the photograph, but she said it might be something that she could see him doing.
It might be something she could see him doing. Damning words from a suspect's own mother if she said it. The defense wants proof that Mangione's mother actually said that about her son. They claim the line has been widely quoted by several news outlets, as well as in a brand new book that's out called Luigi, The Making and the Meaning by journalist John H. Richardson. Richardson peels back the layers on what has become so much more than a murder trial. It's now something of a cultural phenomenon in this country. Mangione, an accused killer, became the object of sympathy, support, even adoration from followers around the world, making this what Richardson describes as the Luigi Mangione moment. John H. Richardson joins me now. Thanks so much. Congrats on the new book. You have spent a year studying Luigi Mangione. What did you learn about him? How did this man go from high school valedictorian to accused vigilante killer?
You know, that's the question everyone asks us after one of these shootings: what radicalized the guy? And in this case, the surprising answer is that nothing that radical seems to have radicalized him. He read a lot of very mainstream things online that people of his generation follow. The most radical thing that he did follow was Ted Kaczynski's The Unabomber's manifesto, which he reviewed and gave 4 out of 5 stars to, which is how I got interested in the project.
Yeah, you have studied and written about Ted Kaczynski as well. You write that if there's anything unusual about Mangione, it's just how normal his preoccupations were, that he's not fringe, he's remarkably centrist.
Right. He's worried about the things that kids of his generation are worried about. Artificial intelligence, will it take our jobs? Will robots take over? Climate change, that kind of thing. His concerns were pretty mainstream. And I would like to emphasize that when it comes to Kaczynski, he criticized Kaczynski as a terrorist. He said that that was the worst thing a person could be, and that he did not see himself in that context. So
what do you make of the fact that 28,000 people have now donated money to Mangione's defense fund? People crowd into the courtroom when he has his appearances to applaud and clap for him. Someone wrote a musical about him, and they had to move that musical to a bigger theater because so many people wanted to see it. Why has he attracted such a following, and what does it tell us about us as a society?
Well, I think the reason is pretty obvious. He tapped into something that people have really strong feelings about. As I say, if he was concerned about environment, which he was, if he had killed an oil company executive, nobody would have really gotten excited about it. It would have maybe a few environmentalists, but not the mass of people. But healthcare is something where people really have passionate feelings. And if you look at that, the contributions that people made, they are passionately about the healthcare issue.
Yeah, as people donated, they wrote comments. Yeah, they wrote comments saying, you know, I hate these healthcare companies. He obviously tapped into a very real fury that a lot of people feel about how much it costs to get healthcare in this country.
Right, and it's a mortal issue. I mean, it's life and death. It's not like anything else that we deal with. And so and it's also really crushing to people. While I was working on the book, my own girlfriend had a $6,000 charge that they didn't want for cancer medication that the health care company wanted to deny just before she went in for her chemo. So,
Wow.
you know, and we're pretty well off, you know, but it was terrifying because you're not in control. And I think that's what he really tapped into in a way.
What do you make of this argument that his lawyers are making in court today, that seeming to imply that the police are lying when they say that Luigi Mangione's own mother said about him, it seems like something he could do?
Well, you know, I'm not sure. I think they're complaining about discovery. They haven't gotten material in discovery. The quote, frankly, always sounded a little weird to me. Like, why would she volunteer?
Why would anybody volunteer that?
And it's not like she didn't, you know that. I mean, it's just like it's life and death of her son and crime, you know, a potential crime that she's discussing. It just sounded weird. And I actually cast a little shade on it in the book, just saying that this was what his mom said, at least according to the detective, because I wasn't sure about it.
Do you think this public fascination with Luigi Mangione lasts?
Yeah, I do. I think actually, I mean, as the healthcare issue continues, he's going to continue to be in the news, and he's going to continue to be a powerful symbol for that. I mean, I would say that I see him more in the context of all the violence that's going on in our society, and I'm asking not so much what the individual case is, and you know, the individual case is a tragedy for his family and for the family of his victims. You know, assuming he's guilty as charged, because he is innocent until proven guilty. But you know, but it's more this atmosphere of permission that is in society right now, where, like in the book, I write about young men mostly who read Kaczynski and feel like, if this is true, I have a responsibility to do something. Well, I think in olden times, people felt, well, if this is true, the authorities will do something. But now they don't feel that way anymore.
So they're picking up the gun and doing something themselves. Yeah, it is a troubling trend, without a doubt, deeply troubling. John H. Richardson, thank you so much. Congrats on the book on Luigi Mangione. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.